Hello. Hola. Ni hao. Habari. Thanks for joining us today for Sno-Isle Library Summer Shorts. This week, we're going to dig deeper into different cultures by learning about libraries and traditions around the world. We'll also cool off with a refreshing drink recipe and learn to make paper fans and Papel Picado. Before we get started, I want to let you know about some other fun programs you can watch from home. Don't miss Reading with Rover every Thursday at 4 o'clock and Family Trivia every Friday at 4 o'clock. You can find a full list of our virtual programs at snoisle.org/summer reading. Now let's get started with this week's Summer Shorts.
Hi everyone, I'm Insun from Marysville Library. I'm very excited to dig into Asian cultures through hand fans with you today. It is summertime and the weather gets hot. So having a hand fan at home would be nice to keep you cool this summer. Hand fans have been widely used in many Asian countries during hot seasons. So let's take a look at various shapes and materials of hand fans and learn the use of hand fans over the centuries. I will also show you how to make a folding fan at home with paper. Most hand fans are in round or half moon shape, but modified forms of hand fans like this have been developed as well. Many different kinds of materials have been used. Feather, grass, fabric, this is fabric, wood, or paper. The original purpose of hand fans was to create a breeze, but they also have had many other uses. To protect against the sun, drive away insects like mosquitoes or flies, or hide the bride's face during the wedding ceremony. Also, special fans have been designed for fan dance. It's big and beautiful and decorated with a bird's feather. Now let's take a look at a few more examples of hand fans. This fan is made of bird's feather, peacock's tail. People used the bird's feather when paper or fabric was not available. This is a beautifully embroidered hand fan that was used centuries ago during the wedding ceremony to hide the bride's face. The handle and the frame were made of brass. Here's an example of hand fans with a tie-dye fabric. This is a half-moon shaped folding fan. The scenery was painted with ink on rice paper. This fan is made of a silk fabric with beautiful images. A wooden fan decorated with the Chinese characters. And this is made of grass called giant miscanthus. And here's an image of a fan dance. Isn't it beautiful? All right, now I'm going to show you how to make a folding fan at home with a paper. To make a folding fan like this, we only need a few materials. 3 pieces of colored paper, 8.5 by 8.5 inches, 2 pieces of flat sticks, 3/4 an inch by 6 inches, and glue. If you want to decorate the paper, you can use markers. First, one by one, you have to fold the paper in half and continue folding the paper 3 more times. 1, 2, and 3. This is to make creases. Then unfold the folded paper. Fold the edge inwards along the crease, outwards along the crease. Then you can create a shape like this. After that, you fold in half by length and glue here. And I already made 3 pieces of folded paper to put together. And you can just glue on this side and put it here. Glue on the end, put together. And also we have to glue on the open ends of both folded paper and attach the sticks to the sides. And you can make a beautiful folding fan like this. Another easy way to make a folding fan is to use a bigger piece of paper, 9 by 12 inches. You fold it like this. Fold in half by length as well. Attach any decoration piece or insert any decoration piece to the center and glue the open ends and pinch the edge of the folded paper and tape it around. Then you can make this beautiful folding fan. Folding fans are easy to carry around and a practical piece of art that you can easily make at home. So be creative, have fun, and stay cool this summer with an environmentally friendly hand fan. Thanks for joining, and I hope you had fun. Bye.
Hello, my name is Kathy, and I am from the Sno-Isle Library, and I'm here to talk about Papel Picado, or paper arts from Mexico. Now, Papel Picado literally means punched paper. And for the last few years, I have put on a program called for El Dia de los Muertos, which comes at the end of October, the first part of November. And part of what we do is we decorate an altar or an ofrenda for the Dia de los Muertos, for our loved ones. And we decorate the altar in part with Papel Picado and with paper flowers. I thought that I would dig into the Papel Picado and the paper flowers and see where did they come from or how did they originate. And it's absolutely very fascinating. Now, before the Spaniards came, there were the Aztecs who lived in Mexico, and they would make a kind of paper out of a very thin bark, and they would soak it and they would pound it, and they would then either decorate it, they would either paint it, or they would cut it out into shapes. And the shaman would give it to the person who wanted something like, they wanted their good pineapple production from their field, and the person would take the cutout shape, kind of like this, and they would decorate their pineapple field or whatever to help protect it and have their prayers answered. Now, of course, when the Spaniards came, they put a stop to all of that. But a few years later, when the Spaniards had taken over the Philippines, a lot of big ships started coming over from the Philippines and started shipping things up from Acapulco through Veracruz. And the Mexicans saw this thin, colorful paper that had come from the Philippines, and they saw these awls that were used to punch holes in leather to decorate the tops of shoes. And well, they're no dummies. They said, hey, we can do something with this. And so what they did is, to this day, they call this thin paper that we call tissue paper, they call papel de China, or paper from China. And they made Papel Picado. And how they did it was they would take a stack of the papel de China, or the tissue paper, about 25 sheets, and then they would take some chisels And this one happens to be a round chisel, and this one happens to be a 1/2-inch flat one. They would have about 80 different kinds of chisels of different sizes and different curvatures. And then they would take a plate, a lead plate, and they would punch holes with a hammer in their stack of 25 pieces of tissue paper, and they would make some very elaborate pictures. This particular one is for El Dia de los Muertos, or Day of the Dead, and if you can see, there it's a picture of 2 calaveras, or skeletons, dancing. Doesn't have to be for El Dia de los Muertos. It could be for birthdays or weddings or other celebrations. This particular one says amor, which means love in Spanish, so maybe for Valentine's Day. And then there's also the Papel Picado that is just absolutely beautiful art. And this one, I think, is just amazing. And again, it's just made out of very, very delicate tissue paper. Of course, then sometimes companies will have Papel Picado made with their own logo and company name as well, which I think is kind of funny, the combination of that. So for you to make Papel Picado, I'm not going to ask you to use a hammer and chisel and a lead plate. Some people use an X-Acto knife, and again, I'm not going to make you do that because I don't want you to hurt yourself, and I don't want to get hurt. What we're going to do is we're going to use scissors and a hole punch. So what you do is you take your stack of tissue paper, you accordion fold it, and you can cut out pieces, kind of like the snowflakes that you make in school, and then you can string them along, put them on, glue them to string, and string them along as banners. The other thing that you can do is you can find patterns, or even make your own pattern. And I will provide some along the bottom of this. And you stack your tissue paper along your pattern, you fold it in half, you take your scissors and you cut out the pattern. You can even add along to it with your hole punch. Now to make the paper flowers, you'll take a smaller stack of tissue paper, again accordion fold it, and then take, they're now called chenille stems, and again they are also available at the dollar store. Accordion fold it, attach the chenille stem to the middle, and then you pull apart the different layers, and then you get the paper flowers. I look forward to seeing what every one of you has done with this. And thank you for joining me. For more information and additional online and printable resources, please go to snoisle.org/summer reading. See you later.
Hi, my name's Shannon and I'm from the Monroe Library. Today we're going to do a family activity and it's all about making refreshing summer drinks. So we're going to need some adult help with us today because we're going to make something called agua de Jamaica, and it's a tea that we'll need to steep in hot water for about 10 minutes. So here are the ingredients that you need. You need flor de Jamaica, also known as hibiscus flowers. And when you get these flowers, you can get them at any Mexican market. You want them to be a little bit soft because if they're too crunchy, that means they're older and not as fresh. And then we'll need some sugar. This is called piloncillo, and it's basically just brown sugar, and it's in this little cone shape. You can also get this at a Mexican market. So we've got a cup of the flowers, and we have about a half cup of sugar. Now I have an electric kettle here, so that's what I'm using to add my flowers to a pot. You can add about 8 cups of water to a cup of flowers. Pour the hot water in. And add the piloncillo, and it will dissolve. And give it a good stir. Now, once you let it steep for about 10 minutes, the sugar will also be dissolved. And this is where the part where you need a strainer and another container. Now, I've already made some Jamaica. Once you have it strained, you can add some ice and put it in a carafe. And add some lime if you would like. It's very simple, very delicious. You can add a little bit more sugar if you'd like, if it's too tart. This tea also makes great popsicles. So if you have extra, you can always put them into a popsicle mold and add a stick. Delicious Jamaica popsicles. It's spelled like the country Jamaica, but you pronounce it Jamaica. You can find it at any Mexican restaurant. It's delicious and it's herbal, just using flowers and sugar. Thank you and enjoy.
Hi, my name is Lindsay and I work at the Mukilteo Library. Today I'm going to tell you about just a few of the different libraries you can find around the world. You might not know it, but Sno-Isle Libraries has a bookmobile service called Library on Wheels. A bookmobile is a vehicle that serves as a mini library, bringing books to people who can't get to a library building. Every month, these vans stop in different communities, bringing books to neighborhoods, daycares, senior care facilities, and people who can't leave their homes. They serve over 1,000 kids every month. Now, bookmobiles are common in the United States. But in some parts of the world, people live far from the cities in very remote areas. Sometimes it isn't possible for vehicles to bring books to kids in those communities. Sometimes a camel or a donkey brings the books. Today I want to tell you about just a few of the really cool traveling libraries you can find around the world. Now we're going to start in the country of Colombia. In Colombia, which is in South America, a grade school teacher named Luis Soriano was concerned that his students had no way to read books at home, so he decided to do something about it. He packed his 2 donkeys, Alpha and Beto, with books and took his books to kids who would otherwise have none. With that, he created the Biblio-Burro Library. Biblio means book, and burro is Spanish for donkey. Luis spends 4 hours on each trip just to reach those communities, and he's been doing this for over 20 years. In this picture, you can see Luis riding on the back of one of his donkeys, which is also loaded with books. And he's followed by a group of really excited kids. I bet you'd be excited too if you had a donkey bringing you books. And here, you can see the girl browsing the books on the donkey's back, just like you would browse books in the children's section of your library. If you'd like to learn more about the Biblio-Burro Library, there's 2 books at Sno-Isle Libraries that you can check out right now. One of them is called Biblio-Burro, A True Story from Colombia. This was illustrated and written by Jeanette Winter. And the other is Waiting for the Biblio-Burro. This one was written by Monica Brown and illustrated by John Parra. They're both really great books. Now we're going to travel to Indonesia. In Indonesia, a country in Southeast Asia and Oceania, traditional parawakang boats are used to spread the joy of reading. Part of the Armada Pustaka Mandar program, these floating libraries bring books to kids on different islands in Indonesia. They hold reading events on shore and take turns talking about the books they read, just like you do during your library's summer reading program. In this picture, you can see a group of boys reading books up in a tree. Have you ever climbed a tree to read a book? It looks like fun to me. And here you can see kids reading and writing on shore. And here's one of those traditional boats I was talking about. In addition to floating libraries on boats, other areas of Indonesia, like the city of Surabaya, are served by bicycle libraries. Bicycles are a great way to travel in the crowded cities of Indonesia. Next, we're going to travel to Kenya. In some areas of Kenya, a country in Africa, camels bring books to kids living in remote villages. It's too hard for some cars to travel the sandy roads, but camels are used to walking in the desert. One camel can carry as many as 500 books, weighing up to 400 pounds. And in this picture, you can see how the boxes of books are strapped to the camel's back. Often a second camel will carry camping gear for the traveling librarians, who need to rest after their long journey across the desert. A tent can also serve as a roof for the traveling library, protecting readers from the hot sun. And here you can see some kids reading books with their traveling library. The Kenya National Library Service started the Camel Library program in 1985, and it continues today, so it's been around a long time. Now we're going to travel up to Mongolia. Camels are also used in Mongolia, a country in East Asia, as well as a horse-drawn wagon and a minibus. The Mongolian Children's Mobile Library reaches nomadic herding communities and kids living in remote parts of the Gobi Desert. Nomadic means these families travel from place to place, moving across the vast grassy plains with their herds of livestock. The library was started by this man, Jambin Deshdundog, a children's author who wants to help kids living in these desert areas develop a love of reading. His mobile library has traveled throughout Mongolia for over 20 years, and with his help, he has taught and helped thousands of kids of all ages learn to read. Here's a picture of a girl choosing a book from one of Jambin's library camels. And if you look closely, you might recognize the cover of this book. Let me try to bring it closer. It's Green Eggs and Ham by Dr. Seuss. I guess Dr. Seuss is popular all over the world. There are so many fascinating libraries around the world. In learning about these libraries, you get to dig deeper into different cultures. As different as we may seem, we all have something in common. We love to read, and we're committed to bringing books to kids who love to read. One of my favorite resources is a book called My Librarian is a Camel: How Books Are Brought to Children Around the World by Marguerite Roers. You'll learn about the libraries I mentioned and so many more. There are even traveling elephant libraries. I don't know about you, but I would love to get a book from an elephant. They're one of my favorite animals. I hope you had fun learning with me today. Thanks for joining me. Visit snoisle.org/summer-reading for additional online and printable resources. I'll see you later, and keep reading. Bye-bye.
Hello, my name is Judy and I work at the Arlington Library. Today we are going to discover the world and learn about language and culture from 6 countries on planet Earth. Here I have a map of the world, and a continent is a large solid area of land like North America and can be made up of many different countries. First, let's go to South America. Brazil is the largest of 12 countries in South America, and the language in Brazil is Portuguese. To say hello in Portuguese is Olá. Olá. A big festival held every year in Brazil is Carnival Rio. This celebration is held in the city of Rio de Janeiro, over here. It is considered the biggest festival in the world, and for 5 days there are parades and parties and costumes like this, and dancing in the streets. Now we will travel to the continent of Europe. France is one of 45 countries in Europe, and the language in France is French. To say hello in French is bonjour. Bonjour. France is known internationally for its fine food, called French cuisine. You may have tried croissants or French pastries, but have you tried snails or frog's legs? France is also known for its cheese. Many different kinds of cheese that is exported all over the world. These French children are dressed in red, white and blue, the colours of the French flag. Now we will go to the continent of Africa. Africa has 54 countries, and we are going to a small country in the north called Tunisia. Up here, located in the Sahara Desert. The language in Tunisia is Arabic, and to say hello in Arabic is Marhaba, Marhaba. The Festival of the Sahara, held in Tunisia, is a celebration of the arts and traditions of North Africa. Big tents are set up in the desert, and there are acrobats and ballet dancers and camel races and music and dancing in national costumes. Next, we will go to the continent of Asia. Asia is the largest continent and has the biggest population. The country of China has more people than any other country in the world. The language in China is Chinese, and Chinese includes many dialects such as Mandarin, Cantonese, Shanghainese, and many others. Mandarin is the most common of the dialects, and to say hello in Mandarin Chinese is Ni hao, Ni hao. The biggest festival in China is Chinese New Year, and it lasts for 7 days. There are dragon parades. Like this. And like this. And music and fireworks and red lanterns. And next we will go to the continent of Australia. Australia is all one country. The language in Australia is English, but to say hello in Australia is G'day, G'day. The native people of Australia are called the Aborigines, and they create great works of art, like this. For special celebrations, the Aborigine people paint art on their faces and their bodies, like this. And last, we will go to the country of New Zealand, where I am from. Down here, New Zealand has a North Island and a South Island. Islands are surrounded by water, and New Zealand is located in the South Pacific Ocean. The Maori people of New Zealand are known for their tattoos on their bodies and on their faces, like this. The language in New Zealand is English, but the Maori people have their own language. To say hello in Maori is Kia ora, Kia ora. Because New Zealand is in the southern hemisphere, the seasons of the year are the opposite of the United States. When people in the US are celebrating the holidays in winter, like this, people in New Zealand are going to the beach. New Zealand kids have their summer vacation in December and January. That's all we have time for today. Thanks for joining me. For additional online and printable resources, visit Sno-Isle.org Summer Reading. Goodbye. Welcome back. I hope you had fun. You can send photos of your completed projects to summershorts@snoisle.org for a chance to be featured on our website. Join us next Tuesday at 2 o'clock for more Summer Shorts. In the meantime, you can read, learn, and discover by visiting snoisle.org/summerreading for a full list of our virtual summer events and a printable reading log. Read 10 hours this summer and receive a free prize book. Read 10 more hours and you'll be entered in a drawing for a grand prize. Keep digging deeper and we'll see you next week for more Summer Shorts. Goodbye. Au revoir. Alvida. Sayonara.